Okay, so I want to just talk about this Graph Explorer that we pushed as an MVP, which is, I think, ridiculously powerful as a way to present. So what we have here now is we have the questions we originally talked about in this demo, but it's in a weird way. We start with the first question, right? Do you have an agent, and where does it run? Because if you don't have an agent, then we only have one piece of information here, which is but this is a fact, right? So this that he captures the facts and information. So you can see that you have both the operation state of the test environment, and it's interesting because the risks will be very similar. The only question is whether it's live. So in ways that there's a risk level that is probably going to be there, right? So let's say you have one, right? And now you can see what kind of data is enriched. Let's say I got personal data. And what's cool about this is you can see that what's happening is this graph is now going to be populated with the data that we're collecting. So you can think of this graph as the evidence piece, right? So look, there's the output affected decision. Okay, it informs decision. So you can see that what's cool about it is that we actually have different, in a way, almost different edges depending of what it is, and then what can do with the data, right? It cannot see it, or reads it, or reads and changes it. So this is a typical example of you have a production system, right, that touches personal data, accounts, contact details, that it informs the decision, of the there, and it reads and changes it. So it's a typical agent, right? And now you go, right? So now you talk about the information of this. Can the agent change things, right? Can you read and report? Can change on its own. So you start to map, for example, how it's done, right? With a personal approval or change it on. So this is where you take that to the next level. Like, so it changes on its own, right? So how do you stop it? Let's say you have an action to stop, or eventually you can stop, or we don't know how to stop it. And how long should we stop it? Is it minutes, an hour? Don't know. So you start to see again, the stop control. Now we mapped stop in many actions, never timed for an hour, minutes, right? And then have you actually stopped it? Yes, we have, only in test, never, right? Do you know the effects of stopping it? Have we mapped it? Is it partially, etc.? So but this is an interesting one because this is connected to the stop control. So you can actually see that this is here depends on that one. So it's, in a way, it's now a next line up, line down, sorry, of the flow. Is there a named person? Do you have a named person or not? So this is the stop authority, right? With a team, if it really misbehave at full speed, what could you reach, right? Internal only, customer facing, don't know. So this would be customer only. So you can now start to see again, what's the damage that it connects. Can you reach anything outside the network? This means that does it have internet access or not. So again, you can see here outbound access, right? For example, no egress. Could you undo the damage, right? So let's say you have full reversible versus not, or some change of whoever, which is important, right? Is there a written procedure for how you pull the plug? You tested it, you've written, you don't have it. Could you reconstruct what you did, for example, every day, right? Or do you have fully or partially or no, right? Because sometimes you have backups, but they not allow you to restore specific things, and whose account it is, right? A service account, a named person, a team, right? So what is actually the for example, the flow that happens. And then this is great, because you can look at it. I love this, right? Because it's a great way to almost in one day capture all the data. Just for reference, we then capture the context. We have now this really cool row map with all the risks that flow forward. We also have these risk chains, which I go in more detail in others, but that means that every risk that has been connected connects to the top level, right? And then we even have a risk register, right? And for every risk that you have here, you can see it's assigned, who causes it, and who leads to, and how does it connect, right? So it's pretty cool.